think I'm live. This is my first time going live. Ooh, wow, such a newbie thing to say. Okay, I don't know who needs to hear this, but I just want to say you do not need to write every day to be a great writer. You really don't. It's confusing because this advice is given out a lot by great writers, by people who seem great but don't write. It's given out by a lot of people who mean well, but I have found that it's not great advice to take because at best it encourages like this really like rigid kind of perfectionist writing process that like just isn't as sustainable as another way to approach a writing process. That's at best. At worst, it's just incredibly discouraging and can turn people away from writing, sometimes like forever. So you don't need to write every day. Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, talks about writing in seasons, and I find that to be much more accurate, a way to think about like a healthy writing process. You cannot write for 6 months and then just suddenly have a project you really want to write and you write it and you're a great writer, even though you didn't write for 6 months. What I have seen happen when people do take this advice, and it does kind of work for them, like they get up at 6 a.m. and they write for 2 hours and they're really, really disciplined, like that can totally work for some people. But I've also seen how like on the surface it seems to work, but then like I had a student who wrote this way and there was just something kind of like missing in their writing. Like it was good, but I was like, but who are you? Like, where's your point of view in this? And it's that like, I should do this mentality that makes people take the advice, oh, I have to write every day to be a real writer. But if you don't write every day, what you're allowing more time for is like joy, flexibility, understanding with yourself, self-compassion, and all the things you do when you're not writing. Like that's the stuff that informs your point of view. So what I actually told this writer to do, because I was like, you're doing the work, you're putting in the hours. If you want to wake up at 6 a.m. and work on your writing for 2 hours, that's great. But this week, that means watching movies. That means listening to music. That means going for a walk. That means like watching movies and asking like what you like about the ending, what you hate about the ending, how you want it to end in the middle of it. Because this writer was writing a movie and they just weren't sure how they wanted it to end. And I was like, connect to what you want, because that's a really, really important part of great writing is your point of view. So yeah, it's just, I don't know why this advice is given out so much. That's not true. I do know it's because perfectionism is productive. It does work. But in my own writing, like I've been a writer for 10 years. I've been a professional writer at many, many companies. Gotten paid to write. I've gotten paid to like make videos in which I write the script for them. I've done a lot of that work, and the best thing I've seen done, actually it was at BuzzFeed, we were just kind of told to make a lot of content and that was it. So basically we threw perfectionism out the window, and especially when I was there, like it was just a really cool time to be at BuzzFeed. We made a lot of great stuff. That's what I encourage my writers to do, is just get it out, like write a lot of stuff, and stay away from the rules. Just like let the rules go. And it's hard because like I love Shonda Rhimes. I think she has an incredible masterclass on masterclass.com. But she like starts with like, you have to write every day. And I know the good part of that is like, they're basically telling you the bottom line is that if you want to be a writer, at some point you do have to write. Like you can't get away from that, but there's just a different way to incorporate that into your life besides writing every day. Because I'm a mom, I've got a toddler who like doesn't understand when I'm working versus not working at home. And I have done so much writing with him asleep right here while like typing ideas on my phone. We need to really like broaden the definition of what writing is, because that's gonna help writers the most first, is that you're writing when you're texting your friend a funny line and they're like, oh my God, that's so funny. And you're like, maybe I should write that down in case I wanna use that somewhere. That's writing. Thinking about your story while cooking, I don't know, some hash browns and eggs, that's also writing. In the shower, when you're having shower thoughts and you're listening to music and you're just relaxing and you get an idea for, I don't wanna make BuzzFeed like formula content. Yeah, you don't have to. I'm just saying it's sorry, someone just commented. I'll get to that in a second. When you are in the shower just thinking about a story, that is what helps you unlock. And like the best ideas are when you don't put pressure on yourself to like be awesome, which is hard because most writers I teach are like very, very passionate and driven, which is great. But like the more in my own writing I put effort into like living a life that I love, that like makes me feel awesome, that makes me feel like connected to the people I love, that like incorporates just doing stuff that I love, the better my writing gets, because I get better ideas. And then when I do write, I'm actually writing from a place of, oh, I really, really like this idea. I'm writing it down because it's just so good I don't want to forget it. And yeah, like I literally have written an entire pilot script by not writing every day and only writing when I want to. And it's the best pilot I've ever written. And I had the most fun writing it. And I just wish more people talked about that when they do have this experience, but I think they're afraid of like seeming unprofessional or like too woo-woo or too like head in the clouds, but it does work. Depressed writers can get a lot of great work done. Happy, well taken care of writers get even more work done, and it tends to be like even more authentic to them, even more authentic to like what they're going through, and it's just really good. Oh, someone commented like, but I don't want to make BuzzFeed like content. Yeah, that was just an example of like the creative process. So there's like morning pages. Julia Cameron, I believe is her name, who wrote The Artist's Way and came up with morning pages. Like that's just to like get words out, like just to kind of like do a brain dump into your notebook. That kind of like letting go. It's the process of like letting go that's really good. If you want to hear that specifically in the screenwriting industry, listen to the podcast interview with Janet Leahy. When she's interviewed on the podcast, You Made It Weird with Pete Holmes. It's like one of my favorite podcast episodes ever because Janet Leahy is such a badass and also just like such a joyful, loving person who like has a great life, but is also like a really kick-ass showrunner, who people genuinely like love working with because she just creates like really supportive spaces creatively. And she talks about like, you gotta let go. Like to be a writer, like at the very end, he asks her like, what's your just like quick nugget advice about writing? Like, what does it take to be a great writer? What does it take to be a successful writer? And she was like, you gotta let go. And at the time I heard that, I was like, no. I was in my second year of grad school. I was not good at letting go. And I was like, no, that's not the advice I want. But it's really good advice, and it's good living advice, not just writing advice. Yeah. So if you want to write it every day, I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying if that is discouraging to you, when people say that to you, don't worry about it. Like, this is your permission. I really don't know who needs to hear this, but I feel like there are so many times where I would have loved to hear it. So I just want to tell you, like, you do not need to write every day to be a legitimate writer, to be a serious writer, to be a passionate writer, to be a writer who's destined for success and great things. There's one other thing I wanted to say. Yeah, no, that's about it. It's like, it seems too simple to be like, oh, enjoy your life and you'll actually start to enjoy your writing process more. But, one other thing I wanted to say, like, you could write, if I were to write 7 days a week, I know the stuff I would write is not as good as the like hour to 2 hours I write every weekend. Like, I teach writing, and then on the weekend, I just like don't make a goal of writing, and I just relax and have fun. I hang out with my family. I do like recreational, enjoyable things. And pretty much every weekend, there's always some idea I get for this pilot I'm working on right now, where I'm like, oh, I want to write it down just because like I love this idea. Like, I just see it. And it's getting in touch with like your gut and your intuition that that makes for like great content and a great experience while writing. So yeah, if you like this, if this feels like something that's good for your creative process, writing process, feel free to come to one of my 3 writing with authenticity workshops that I'm doing over Zoom. I'm doing the first one tomorrow, which is April 2nd. And yeah, it's free. You can come. There's 12 spots for each workshop. So you can sign up on Eventbrite. Hi, Charlotte. I will add the Eventbrite link into the description. And if I can't do that because I've never made a live video, I will do it in a comment or something. But yeah, I would love to see you there. It's a really fun workshop. I do talk about like my screenwriting class that if you're interested in, you're welcome to find out about that. But there's no pressure to sign up for my 5-week screenwriting class. I just like to, it's kind of a good like orientation if you do want to take the class where it's like, this is a screenwriting class. You will learn all the craft stuff, but we're also going to cover like stuff for how to actually enjoy your life as a writer. Charlotte is in France. Okay, the times. I go to like worldtimebuddy.com because I teach across so many time zones. So the workshop tomorrow starts at 3 p.m. and then goes to 5 p.m. Eastern time. I'm trying to think. So that might be like late evening your time if you're in Europe. And yeah, it's a really good time. I'd love to see you there. The film industry is like changing for the better, and so that's also what we talk about in this workshop where like we do there's a few fun writing exercises. Like you don't have to share any of them, they're just for you. Good discussion, kind of great examples of like shows that have been a great experience for the person creating the show, and also a really successful, like critically acclaimed, popular show that just fans and people love because they really connect with it. So yeah, I'd love to see you there. I think I can also like record it maybe. So if you aren't able to go but wanna check it out, let me know and I can. And yeah, you can come watch it. Sorry, but you need to write some days. I write no days. Yeah, that's another thing that we talk about a lot in my class. It's like easier than you think to like break through that. It's just community. A community of writers usually helps you figure out a way to start writing. I still get fear when I write, even though I've been doing it for like well over 10 years. But yeah, that's also what makes it like really rewarding and forces you to grow. But yeah, if you are not writing, I would encourage you to like write in a different way than the way you think you're supposed to write. Like if you see yourself typing at your computer and you think that's writing, I would encourage you to like get a journal, like get a cheap journal, get a nice journal, whatever would make it easier and less intimidating for you to like write in it, and just write whatever. Like it doesn't have to be anything in particular. But just the doing of it with low expectations can like unlock so much more than you think. Even if you do like have a project in mind that you want to, that I freaking teach creative writing and I don't write outside of my workshops. Oh, I so feel you. Yeah, no, I get that. I freaking get that. It's hard. It's really hard. And like teaching writing is like for a writer, it uses the same like energy as a writer would who like writes in their own life. Like it takes from the same like energy store. So yeah, that's kind of why like I started doing this way of writing where I was like, I'm not going to put any pressure on myself and I'm just going to do what I tell my students to do, which is like really just write from a place of like, what do you see? What's your guiltiest pleasure in terms of, because basically like if you want to watch a type of show, but you're not willing to write that kind of show and you think you have to write a different kind of show that's like more prestigious, like for years I was like trying to write ensemble TV when I love 2 main characters in a TV show. That's what I write now, and it's much better than it used to be. Can you talk about writing for what? Like for what purpose? To get it filmed? Oh yeah. Yeah, come to the workshop. We'll cover that because like there is the like Shonda Rhimes method, which is like very much inside the system, like changing it from the inside. But then there's also people who like Issa Rae like did a web series and came from the outside, and I like know a lot about that world, so I'd be happy to talk about it at the workshop. Because basically I write for both. I write for my own joy and I write to like sell a show and be successful. Yeah. Also, by the way, I moved to Asheville and it's like freaking gorgeous here and I love it. If you want to know why, you can come to the workshop. It's like, my writing is like the best thing I've ever done for my writing, to move to somewhere that makes me happy. And you really do not have to move to LA or New York to be a screenwriter, I believe. And yeah, come to the workshop and find out why. This was fun. I like this live thing because I don't have to edit anything after this and it's just done. I'm going to sign off because my arm's getting tired. But yeah, if you have more questions, please comment. I'd love to do this again. And yeah, I'll leave the Eventbrite link for the workshops. There's one tomorrow, and then there's another one next Friday, and another one the Friday after that. So yeah. Okay, I don't know how to stop it recording. I guess I just X out of it. Okay, bye guys. Thank you for watching and for commenting. That was very fun. Yes, I'm sure I want to stop streaming.